Hello my dear friends, you're on the Military Summary channel, and today we will discuss the situation in Ukraine on the 13th of May. Today we have some updates, so let's discuss them. In front of you you can see the map. This is our morning. This is the morning of the 13th of May. As far as you can see, this is our Donbas cauldron. This is our Donbas arc operation. So if you take a look at this map, you can recognize this area. It's like the same. This is our Donbas area. This is it. This is Donbas. And as you can see, the yellow territory is the territory under the Russians' control. The black territory, the Ukrainians, and the red arrows is the main directions of the Russians' attack. As you can see, there is like big arrows, red arrows, and small arrows. That means that the big arrows means the main directions, and small arrow we can call them like support attacks. So let's take a look at the north. We see that the Russians started this morning from attack towards Svyatogorsk and towards the south of Liman. And this is the area. They start attack. This is Liman. They start attack towards Starokaravai, Dubrova. This is the south of this area. And according to the Russian sources, the Russians managed to establish control over this entire part of this area. So we have Severodonetsk river. This is the river, and as you can see, the gray line moves along this river, and the part that located between this river and these two roads is under the Russians. So this is our Liman area. So we can say that this entire area is under the Russians. They established control over this area by 4 p.m. of the local time. So this is the area that is under the Russians. According to the Russian information, we know that the Ukrainians, they have just one fortified positions here, just one defense line. And this area is Shudrovye, small village between the Liman and this river. But according to the Russian information, Russian sources, they're saying that there are not much forces. It's something like rear guard forces. And as far as I understand, the Ukrainians from this town is going to leave this area in a day, maybe even by this evening, because as we know, the Russians are doing some clearing operation in this area. There are some Ukrainian forces in this forest. This is the forest. And as far as you can see, according to the Russian sources map, the gray line is in this area also moves along the river. The Russians are trying to push Ukrainians on the south side of the Severodonetsk river. So I think that maybe in a day and two, this entire area will be under the Russians. So there is one town, important town, Severodonetsk. This is the town between Slavyansk and Liman. This town is located on the river, on the Severodonetsk river. There are three bridges, one railroad and two bridges for people, for cars and so on. And Ukrainians have their positions in this town. But this town is under very heavy artillery bombing, under shelling. The Ukrainians trying to hold this town, and I think that, of course, they will do this. It will be very difficult for the Russians to cross this river and establish control over this town, at least for now. But I'm sure that the Russians are planning to move their artillery as close as possible. And starting maybe Wednesday of this week, we're gonna see the bombing and shelling of Slavyansk and Severodonetsk and all these towns. By the way, according to the West intelligence, the Russians are planning to establish another front line in this area to cross Severodonetsk somewhere here, because everybody understands that Seversk is the town that has two roads. This is the final town, the last town the Ukrainians can use for supplying and supporting Severodonetsk area. This is the final place. So everybody understands that If Russians are able to establish control over the Seversk somehow by crossing this river, by doing some storm assault operation, some VDV operation, I don't know, they will be able to encircle the entire Lysychansk agglomeration, and we can call this area like a cauldron. So that's why the Ukrainians have their fortified positions along this river. So they're waiting for the Russians, and it's not very difficult to have to control this position for many reasons. First of all, that some of this territory supported by the Lysychansk agglomeration group, some of them by the Slavyansk, and we know that the Slavyansk in Kramatorsk is the heart of Donbas Arc operation, it's the headquarters of this area. There are very lot of forces, so this is a very powerful line, and I'm not sure that it will be a very easy job for the Russians to cross this river. But now let's move to the north, to the Svyatogorsk. This is the only area that is still under the Ukrainian control. Let's update a little bit this area, because some part of this area is under the Russians, and we need to understand the exact positions of everybody in this area. So this area without any color, but with this like fortified area, is the under Ukrainians, and everything that is red and blue is under the Russians. So this territory is the Russians, and there is a small back, and the Russians are doing more than that. Alexandrovka is under the Russians, according to the Russian sources. See, this is Alexandrovka. The Russians use two offensive directions in this area. First, they're trying to attack Studionok through this area, and Ukrainians told us a few times that the Russians tried to cross this river in this area, exactly in this area. And another direction is towards Bogorodichne. This area is the vital region for the Ukrainians. As we know, there are around 1,000 Ukrainian soldiers in this small bag, and they are still there. At least for now, I didn't got any information that anybody from this area retreated. This is very important area for one reason, because of this forest. This forest is pretty big. This is it. This is the forest. This forest is located on a hill, and the Russians are planning to establish their front line somewhere here as the first stage of this operation, as soon as they establish control of Bogorodichne. And after that, they're planning to move through this forest. There is small towns along this forest, so this is a very nice position. First of all, the Russians will be able to attack Slavyansk in two directions. This is one direction, and this is the second direction. And you see that the Russians have a lot of places where they can hide their forces, where they can control the Ukrainians, and the place where they can establish their position and to get as close as possible towards Slavyansk. More than that, we're gonna see the shelling of Slavyansk from Liman area. So I think that Liman is going to be ruined, is going to be reduced to ruins the next months, I think, because I don't think that Ukrainians are planning to leave this town or to give up in this area. They will fight till the last Ukrainians in this town. I'm sure about this. So we're gonna see what's next. So the Russians are trying to encircle Svyatogorsk by taking Bogorodichne. As soon as they do this, they will cut the final road, and they will be able to attack Svyatogorsk from the back. The Russians need to establish bridgehead in this area to protect their flank, their main flank of their Izium group. And as soon as they do this, as soon as they protect their flank, they will be able to continue their operation towards Barvinkova. So we'll see what's next, and we will follow this region for new updates. Now let's talk about Severodonetsk. More news is coming from Severodonetsk. The Russian sources map has been updated. If you remember, yesterday we discussed that they moved their gray line towards the middle of the city. I'll remind you that there are three bridges, 1, 2, and the third one bridge is here. This one bridge that in the middle was destroyed. This one is under fire control, and this bridge is not this one, but a little bit to the south. This one is very damaged. and I'm not sure that anybody can use this bridge anymore. Maybe it's some kind of a trap, and I think that artillery knows where to shot to destroy anybody on this bridge. So the Russians have updated their map. Now they're showing us that they're controlling the civilian part of the town, not the half, but a lot of territory. They're in the town, they're in the city, and they're moving towards this industrial zone. Some sources are saying that Ukrainians left the civilian part towards the industrial zone, and that the Russians are moving very slowly because of many traps, many problems that Ukrainians could live in this area. So we'll follow this area and we'll see. But if you remember, a few videos ago I told you that it's very easy, not, we can't say like very easy, but it's much more easier to establish control over this part, over the east part of Severodonetsk than over the west part. So let's take a look at this map. This territory that located on this side, this one, is much easier to establish control over. And the reason is that the Severodonetsk is on the lowland, and the Ukrainians, they have their positions on this coast, and they can control a lot of territory in this town. So that's why this is the reason why the Ukrainians decided not to fight with the Russians in this area. I think that they calculated the approximate losses they can achieve there, and they moved towards this industrial zone. So the industrial zone, maybe the defense line is somewhere here. I'm not sure about this area because I got some map that this territory, this edge of this town is under the Russians. But let's update like this just for better understanding. The Ukrainians, their main position is in this industrial zone, and this town, this entire territory between this industrial zone and this civilian part is under very heavy artillery and fire control by the Ukrainians that located in Lysychansk. And Lysychansk is on the hill, and from this border, from this area, you can see the town. Very nice, very good. You can take a look at the map, and you're gonna see if it's these small hills. At least I see these hills, like the land moves down, like the ground moved down in this area. So this is very nice positions, and at least for now the Ukrainians are still there. They are not retreating from Lysychansk, and I don't think that they will retreat, at least until the Russians won't be able to cross this river somewhere here, or at least if they are able to move from Vasilyevka towards the oil refinery plant or something like this. So that's why we are following this map as well and waiting for new updates. Now let's move towards Tashkovka. According to my timings, Tashkovka should be taken by tomorrow's evening, so we'll see. We know that third part of Tashkovka is under the Russians, this one is under the Ukrainians, this small block, and the area between them is something like a gray zone. But the Russians need to establish control over entire Tashkovka to understand and to push and to force Ukrainians to surrender, to run away, or to encircle them at least for a little bit. Today we didn't have any information about Tashkovka, no news, no more news, so let's follow this area. There are very heavy clashes around entire Popasna. Everywhere the Ukrainians are trying to deblockade the road of life that connects the Lysychansk agglomeration with the Bakhmut, and they did that. Now they can move through this using this road, but as far as I know, according to the latest update, people are trying to avoid this road and not to use it because of very heavy losses. This area is under very heavy fire control because, as far as you can see, there is, for example, if the Russians have their position somewhere in Vasilyevka and there's just 3 kilometers till this road and it's nothing, even a tank can fire in this direction and destroy anything. I'm not talking about even artillery. We know that, for example, even from Popasna you can use this artillery in Popasna to control this road. So that's why the Ukrainians can't use this road, or if they're using this road, they have very big losses in this area. So everything is as usual. The Russians are fighting in Kamyshovacha, in Vrubivka, in Berestove. They're trying to establish control over Berestove every day. and from these regions, no, there are no update. Now let's move to the south, to our Novolugansk, to this area. If you remember, during the last week, the Russians established control over these large territory. This morning, they established control over this small town, Dolomitne, because they were trying to attack Novolugansk, this town, and using this town, they were planning to attack this Ugldarsk plant, but as far as I understand, their Reko attempts were spotted and the Russians were defeated, so that's why they started their offensive operations towards Dolomitne, through Dolomitne. So they established control, and now they have a very nice possibility to attack Novolugansk from the back. According to the Russian sources map, they're updated. This map is updated, and it shows us that this territory is under the Russians. Now let's move to Avdiivka. There are very heavy clashes on the border of Avdiivka. If you take a look, there are some changes, some differences between the Russian sources map and the West sources map. If you take a look, the Russians established control over this line from Drugaya Novosilovka towards the Spartak and towards this Yasinovata. If we take a look at the West sources map, you see that this area considered as the territory under the Ukrainian control. But we had some videos and updates that this small area, small back, is under the Russians. So as we discussed, they're trying to encircle Avdiivka cauldron. For now, it's very difficult. Avdiivka area is the vital area for the Russians, because if we take a look at the Russian sources map, you see all these points, all these icons. Donetsk is under very heavy bombing. As Kharkiv and Kiev were under very heavy bombing in the beginning of this special operation, Donetsk is under very heavy bombing right now. The Ukrainians are bombing and shelling this area with everything they have, using .2 rockets, using the 152 shells, 155 shells. So, and there are a lot of casualties in this town. So, and that's why the Russians, they need to push Ukrainians from Avdiivka. This is the Ukrainians' plan. They want to force Russians to hurry up. So, and we know that in this situation, if you're in a hurry, that means that you have a lot of losses, at least more than if you're doing everything slowly, block by block. So this is the situation in Avdiivka. Now let's talk about another vital part of this conflict, about June and about artillery. We see that June has almost come, and we knew and we know that according to the information we have, the West weapon should have come by the end of May and the beginning of the June, and by the end of the June, by the beginning of July, we're gonna see like a lot of West weapon in the Ukrainians' hand. So let's discuss this weapon, and let's think and let's try to understand how this weapon can change this conflict. You know that the Ukrainians were asking the United States of America to provide them their MLRS systems. But we know that the USA refused. They wouldn't do this. They're not planning to give this system until now, and maybe in the future they will do this. They will change their mind. But let's discuss their artillery system. For example, the Russians have a few types of artillery system: Akatsiya, D-20, D-30, Msta-B, Msta-C, Getsin-B, Getsin-C. See, this is the Russians' types of their artillery systems, and as you can see, the shortest range is about 17 kilometers, and if we're talking about Getsin-C, their range is about 28 kilometers. This is the artillery system that Russians uses in this area, in this conflict. The same system, the Ukrainians has the same system. It's the Soviet types, so the Ukrainians has almost the same. Now let's talk about the West sources. West weapon West artillery system that has already arrived to Ukraine. We have already seen them on the front lines. Dana, 16 kilometers. M114A1, 17 kilometers. M777, 22.5 kilometers. Panzerhaubitz, 2036 kilometers, and the French Caesars 40 kilometers. You see that the West artillery is much more powerful than the Russians, and the range is much more bigger or longer than the Russians. So that means that this system can change the conflict, this system can change the game. But for now, I can't say that there are a lot of forces, a lot of artillery system of such types in the Ukrainian forces, but we'll see what's next. Now let's take about the reactive systems. You know that the Russians and the Ukrainians are using Grad, Uragan, Smerch. For example, the Grad range is 20 kilometers, and the Smerch, the most powerful system that Ukrainians and the Russians have, is just 70 kilometers. But if we are talking about the reactive systems that could provide the United States of America, for example, the MLRS systems can use the range around 300 kilometers. This is the map that shows the range, like approximate area this system can attack. So if we take a look at this map, this yellow point in the middle is the center, and this yellow square is the area this system can attack. The reason why the United States of America are not planning to provide these systems is because of the fact that they're saying that Ukrainians can use these systems to attack the Russian Federation territory. Well, if they use this system in the Kharkiv, and let's calculate 300 kilometers, so they can burn Belgorod easily. And if we're talking about 300 kilometers, it's very far. It's very far to the north. It's very far. So this is it. This is the range that this system can use. And the United States of America decided not to bring this system here, but they brought their M777, and we see that. So we'll see how the support will change the game, if the support can change the game. So we'll see what's next. And that's it for today. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel, put your likes, and enjoy your day. Bye bye.